It'll be more than 15.
I don't know. I'm not sure. They were really bad last week.
Where's that girl going?
What's that? University of Nebraska.
She's going to have a good time.
Which girl?
On the baseline.
Oh, really?
So Sophie Johnston.
Oh, okay.
College life is going to be good.
Are they Div 1 or Div 2?
Div 1.
Big time D1.
Yeah, wow.
Big 10. Pretty good team.
Ladies and gentlemen, basketball fans across the country, welcome to your QBL Round 2 Game of the Week, presented by Live Sport Australia and Nothing But Net Media. And what a great game we do have in front of us here tonight. We've got the Lady Spartans from Southern Districts versus the Gold Coast Rollers. My name is Regan Baker, former QBL referee, and as always, joined in the commentary booth with me, I've got announcing great and all-time basketballer John Guana, and of course, QBL great himself, Dan George, who first time in the commentary booth for us this year. Dan, how are you feeling?
Well, it's been a long time since I sat here for the women's final last year, Regan, with you, watching the Spartans take out the championship after an undefeated season. It feels like years ago. But here we are again, obviously in round 2 of the season, and looking forward to seeing where these clubs are at.
Yeah, absolutely. It does feel like quite a while ago since we were last here for that final series, but John, what a game we got on our hands here. Two teams, unfortunately, both going down with the loss last week. What do you think they're going to bring to the game tonight?
I think both teams would be disappointed to come into this weekend without the win. Both teams thought they had a good opportunity to pick up W's last weekend. I've seen these teams play in the preseason. Obviously, it is the preseason. Gold Coast played Spartans really tough. I'm expecting another tight game. I think Spartans have a little more mature team and probably a little more talent on their roster. But I don't know if they've found their true identity thus far this season. It's a lot of new faces and new places. So I do think Spartans will probably come out with a win, but Gold Coast isn't going to go down easily. And if Spartans don't take them seriously, I think Rollers are definitely in the position to pull an upset.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Like you sort of said, it's all going to come down to, how they take the game out on the court as well. I mean, Spartans, it is a relatively new team, as we were discussing last week with that game against Southwest. It is, to a very big degree, an almost a brand new team. So you've got a lot of new players coming in. They need to learn how to gel together and play as a team as a whole. But they've got a little bit of depth, which I think is where Spartans has the advantage over Gold Coast. Gold Coast is a very young team this year, and I think last week it was something like 55 out of 58 points that they put on the board was all from the starting 5. So they don't have a great deal of depth to them. But both teams are going to be fighting for this one, wanting to get that one win on the board. Dan, how do you think things are going to pan out?
I think you guys have summarised it really well. I guess the one benefit that the Gold Coast girls might have is that when you are a little bit younger, you can make up for a lot of things with bringing energy. And so if they come out and they can pressure these Spartans girls and they go maybe 8, 9, 10 deep on the bench and everyone plays at a really high level of energy and pace, that can make up for a lot of the things that they might lack. But I do think the Spartans will come out on top, and I think they'll just be a little bit too smart down the stretch.
Yeah, absolutely. As we get ready for the tip-off here, Spartans are going to come out with their starting 5 being all-time QBL great and captain Beck Haynes, Jamison McMullen, Jess McDowell-White, Aja Parham, and Anais Kiravan. Gold Coast is going to come out with number 23, Alicia Carline. Their captain, Sian Woods. Who else we got out on the floor here as well? Opal Maida, Kate Hewitt in number 10, and Carly Patrick in number 13 as well. As we're just going to retry the jump ball there after an early false start. Spartans with it straight away and off the bat as well. Going straight to work. Spartans' first shot coming off no good, but with the second hand putback, Parham going to the board and picking up the early foul.
And not a good sign there on that first possession for the Rollers, giving up a couple easy shots and those offensive rebounds. Dan, you know this better than anyone. You need to control the glass. If you're going to give up offensive rebounds, you're really going to hurt yourself.
Well, I think, like we said in the pregame, these teams might be a bit more evenly matched than they would have been 12 months ago. So if you can find extra possessions by forcing turnovers or hitting the offensive glass, that makes a massive difference. And if the Gold Coast can't contain the O boards like they could on that possession, it's going to make it really hard for them to come out on top tonight.
Yeah, I think you hit a really good point there as well, Dan. Turnovers do play such a big role in the game of basketball. And like the game that we covered last week, there was almost 30 turnovers in the game. And, if you're scoring even half of those into points, I mean, that's 30 points easy just off the turnover itself. So if you can't control the ball, you are going to come out and find it very, very hard. As Gold Coast going to the work with Jamison McMullen with a nice little block. Gold Coast just managing to retain it, and straight back to the board is Carline.
Yeah, Gold Coast got a lucky break there. It was a good block. They were just remained with the ball, though, and able to put in a nice bucket.
Southern Districts not to be unanswered, though, as McDowell-White goes to the 3 and rattles it home. And after that game last week as well, Gold Coast is going to need to get out to McDowell White because she was dropping threes last week like I dropped my phone. I mean, she was hot, so they need to have a hand up in her face and stop her from taking those long bombs.
Yeah, she certainly started the season well from 3.
Gold Coast returning with a 3-point of their own, but that's just a little bit too strong from Woods. Parham pulling down the board for Districts. McDowell White straight back in their face. That one a little bit too short though.
Nearly a travel there.
Yeah, it had to be very, very close. Gold Coast just taking things nice and slow. Is going strong on the inside is Patrick, and she's fouled on the way to the bucket.
That's a really strong move there from the youngster Patrick. She's been a real surprise packet, I think, for the Gold Coast this season. She's a talent.
I think the Gold Coast girls have shown really good composure so far, and that's probably a credit to VDog's coaching too. They've come a long way in a year, this Gold Coast club. So it's good to see them work through the shot clock, not be too rushed, because this Spartans team is really good at pressuring on defense, but so far Gold Coast have handled it relatively well.
So Patrick puts away the second of her free throws, both good. We are locked at 4 apiece. McMullen, nice little kick out. Spartans doing the complete opposite to Gold Coast, moving the ball nice and fast around the outside. As Parham steps back and fires away a 3, a little bit too strong, and it bounces out of court.
A lot of 3-pointers to start this game so far for Spartans, Dan.
Yeah, there is, and I think if they come off penetration, so we saw Jess McDowell White's 3 come off a set play, pick the picker action for Arja, and Arja creates that open look. That's a really good shot, but when it comes out of kind of broken offense like that one did, it's not as good a quality of a shot attempt. But I mean, we saw them last year live by the 3 and did it really successfully. So no need to change this year, even though a couple of those girls are not here.
And Spartans still are not at full strength either. They have a couple of imports to come in. The word is that they'll be in at round 4. So Spartans.
I think Ash. Do we know who's coming in? Can we name drop? No. There's rumours around QBL, but a couple of very good players coming in, I think.
Yeah, I have names, but I haven't had them confirmed. My understanding is they're coming over from Europe.
Oh, Europe, really? I heard Ash Taylor from Indiana State maybe coming back here, maybe. Wherever if she does come back to the QBL, and if it is to the Spartans or NRL, she'll be a great QBL player. Really successful couple of years at Indiana State for her, so these teams could easily improve in a couple of weeks' time with girls like that coming in.
Active hands from Aja.
That's a nice deflection there from Parham also. She's been really active.
Yeah, she's been all over the court, and it was the same last week as well against that against the Southwest team. She was just all across the court, very active with the hands, just getting in the face of everyone she comes up against. You see a nice little ball roll home. And picking up the foul again, going to the line. The Southern Districts find themselves in a little bit of foul trouble early on. They're already on 3 in the first 3 minutes of the game. It's not a good position to be on this early.
They're just difficult fouls mentally too, and you play great defense for 23 seconds and foul on the buzzer, especially with an M1. A little bit demoralising.
Woods
and giving up an O-board on the foul shot kind of compounds it. V-Dogs. Can we see? Look at him on the camera. He's not happy. V-Dog, we can see you. Sit down, bro. I love your passion.
Spartans getting away with a bit of a lucky roll there to pick up the board. Beck Haynes, nice little kick out pass to Parham as she goes to the right-hand hook. Again, picks up an O-board, left-hand roll, bounces out. Neither team really playing much of a box-out game on the boards at the moment. There's a lot of O-boards being given away as Patrick goes strong down the other to get the 2 to roll home.
The Gold Coast playing really aggressively offensively. I like to see them come out this aggressive.
That's what I was mentioning earlier, guys, about bringing energy. Like we spoke about, they're a bit inexperienced, a bit young, but with energy like what they're playing with, you can cover up for a lack of experience. The fourth quarter's a different story, but so far they look good.
This Gold Coast coming out lucky with that out-of-bounds play as well, so they'll have another opportunity. Currently up 10-6. Gold Coast really coming out with a lot of fire, and I think that's going to be important for their morality as well. If they've come out firing over this Spartans team, who were the premiers last season, if they can get that early breakaway, that's going to do a lot for their mental game as well. And they're playing a nice, slow but aggressive game of basketball, and they're hitting the boards hard when they need to. You see a nice little spin move there for Carmine. Can't quite roll it in. As Parham steps up to the three-point line, gets nothing but air. And can't quite save it either is Kievan. Gold Coast with another opportunity as well.
Again, settle in for that three-point shot. I'd like to see Spartans move the ball a little bit more and get aggressive, Dan. Try and get into the paint. Stop settling for that jump shot.
I agree, and I reckon the jump shot is fine if it comes off inside play first, whether that's a pass or an O-board or a penetration with the dribble. As the Spartans stay in foul trouble, like you said earlier, but I think if we can, and I say we from a Spartans point of view, if you can get the ball into the paint first to lead to a three, that's a good look. In transition, it just lets this young Gold Coast team off the hook.
Yeah, and that's, as you were sort of saying before as well, that's not a good position for Spartans to be in because that's Haynes' second personal foul, and we're not even 5 minutes into the first quarter yet.
Oh, boy.
Not sure what Gold Coast was hoping out of that. There was a very lethargic screen, and they didn't really pick and roll or have any kind of momentum off the screen. They managed to come away with the points, but I don't know. That was almost like they didn't really know what they were doing on their offense there.
If we were going to take a bet, do you reckon they'll play Bruno Mars for 40 minutes tonight?
I thought you weren't supposed to play music during play.
I think they forgot to turn it off. But that's 5 fouls for the team. They're into the bonus with 5 minutes left in the first quarter.
I think Spartans need to call themselves a timeout. They're in a little bit of trouble at the moment. They're rushing their offense, and defensively they're all over the place. They're not picking up their players. They're not moving and getting in front, and they're just, like, let's be real, they're lazy and scrappy fouls. You don't need to be on 5 fouls within, I mean, we still haven't even hit 5 minutes in yet. Patrick can't get the first to roll in.
If you're a V-Dog, you got to be happy with this start to the game, though, Dan. Come up 6. They've played pretty well defensively and offensively.
Well, you're right, but I don't think you can control whether you make shots or not, but you've got to be happy with the effort and the energy that they're bringing. Little things like what we just saw. There's a free throw, and you pressure the Spartans into a deflection. You get the ball back, another possession. Small things like that would make any coach happy.
Yeah, as Gold Coast, V-Dog decides that he wants to take a bit of a breather, so we'll take one as well. The score is 12-6. Gold Coast Rollers leading the Southern District Spartans, but we'll be right back with more live QBL action after this short break.
Hot.
And back with you here at Roland Cowan Stadium, presenting the QBL Game of the Week between the Gold Coast Rollers and the home team, the Southern District Spartans. Gold Coast getting themselves up to a nice early 12-6 lead. Dan, if you're the Spartans at the moment, what do you think they need to adjust in order to get themselves back in this game a little bit more than what they are now?
I think some of their defensive issues are coming from offense, which might sound a bit backwards, but I think they should just slow themselves down and run a bit more structured O. We saw one play, some pick-to-picker action that led to Arja creating a 3 for Jess. I reckon with the team they've got to put even more pressure on Arja to make plays out of the right kind of sets. So I think they need to slow it down, run some offense, and get it through Arja's hand and let her create. Because at the moment, the up and down tempo, they're not doing as well with that style of play as they might have otherwise thought they would.
And I think you hit a big key point before as well. You know, the three-point shot isn't necessarily a bad option if you at least try inside first. Because at the moment, they're not really playing an inside-outside game of basketball. They're just coming up the court and just just settling for that three without even trying to move the ball inside. You know, and there's nothing wrong with taking a three bomb, but I think at this kind of stage in the game early on, they need to try and get the ball inside, especially when you've got the likes of, you know, Parham is an absolute powerhouse, and Bayless is probably the tallest person on the court at the moment. I mean, you need to get the ball inside and give your bigs the opportunity to score.
That was great defense there. I feel V's pain on that one. I do think it was a foul, though. She got the block initially, but you saw her bring the arms down That was the foul. The initial block was good. It was the follow-through, I think, that got called on the foul there for Hewitt. Sorry. You're our resident referee, Regan.
Yeah, I'll throw to you, Regan. That could very easily have just been a no call.
Yeah, I'm trying to remain like impartial coming from the referee's perspective. Look, I think it was good, to be completely honest with you. Even if her arms moved a fraction of a centimetre forward, she's hit the ball first. She may have got a little bit of arm afterwards, but in a game like this, when we've set the standard early with what's being called, I think that was a little bit soft and it was unnecessary. I don't think anyone would have said boo if that wasn't called a foul.
Well, we know V-Dog didn't like the call. Go figure.
Nice inside play there from the Gold Coast, getting the ball in nice and tight. So I think Parham's going to pick up that foul. No, it's going to go against number 12 for Spartans, Bayless.
That's just a nice move, though, by Hewitt. She's been really impressive. Really, this is, I believe, her first season in the QBL. And she's been a real find also for V-Dog. I had a good chat with him a couple weeks ago, and he's been really pleasantly surprised with her play, earning starting time and doing it on both ends of the court. We saw the block on the one end, and then a nice aggressive take on the offensive end.
Yeah, and she had Hewitt had a really good game last week as well. Like, not so much on the scoreboard, but the way that she actually assisted in the offense and looking through some of her stats, she's had a really good performance. And I think she's the kind of starting five that you need to set up plays and just, she's a great team player, and that's all I can really say about her.
I like what Gold Coast doing there, also picking up a bit of pressure and some trapping as well, trying to keep the energy up.
Spartans just breaking that trap, though, getting the ball down. Couldn't quite capitalize off the big lob pass. Wide shot taken, no good, as Parham comes down with a nice O-board, tries to put the putback, can't. Spartans just not able to find the bottom of the net at the moment as we end up in a jump ball.
We saw that last week. They struggled at times to finish really anywhere. They came on, they got it back together in the second half, but they can't really afford to have another slow start like they did last week.
No, definitely not. And I'm starting to feel for the Spartans as well. Like, they're taking shots, but they just can't seem to find the bottom of the net. They're 2 from 13 at the moment from the field. And this early on in a game, that's really a tough position to be in.
But in saying that, they're down 5. Like, they're doing a good job of just hanging tough, even though shots are not falling.
I think that's something to be said about the Spartans as well. It's just built into their nature, and it's great coaching from Beck as well. I mean, they're always going to be fighters, and even when they're in a bad position like this, they're always going to continue pushing and driving and finding those shots as well.
Well, they have a very experienced bench from a coaching point of view. Beck, who you mentioned, Shibes, who I played for many years, so they'll have good leadership on the sideline, which helps a young team.
As McDowell White goes to work, kicking out with only 1 second left on the shot clock, manages to fire away but can't quite find the points. Parham again just can't quite put the putback away.
And those are the ones that really hurt you. Those are gimmies, Dan, that you'd usually see Parham finish.
He's kind of shot a couple of them left-handed. Like, layups are fine, but kind of shot 5-6 footers with her left hand, but she's channeling her in a Kobe Bryant maybe, but without success so far.
Yeah. As Hewitt went to work on the inside down Gold Coast and couldn't quite fire it home, and I think she's a little bit tired, asking for the sub as well.
Doing a good job, though, hanging in there defensively.
Yeah, as McDowell White fires home a 3. Nothing but net.
But that's off the pick-to-picker action again. So that's a good shot. Make or miss, that's a good look. Rather than come down, one pass, jack it up. So good signs, and that's a 2-point game.
Yeah, 13-11 the score. Gold Coast just hanging on in front. Spartans starting to make a little bit of a comeback. Gold Coast again playing a nice settled offense. Strong drive down the baseline and great defense from the Spartans to get the steal as well. As Parham goes to work, full court drive, left-handed hook, sinks it in.
Left-handed again, Dan.
A couple of feet close that time, but great touch. Crossover through the legs to a left-hand little hook shot. It's a great move.
Yeah, and some much-needed points from Parham as well. That's 1 from 6 from the field as well. So, you know, it's good to see her get one home, and hopefully it's all uphill from here for her as well. Parham again driving strong on the inside. I like that kick out as well. Long shot, not quite finding a home. Gold Coast going to work on the inside. Putting it home is Carline and finding the foul as well.
That's got to be their second, third, and one also. Really good hesitation there. Nice use of the pump fake, Dan.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be fancy. It could be very basic. Like, use that pump fake, get your defender in the air, finish through the contact.
That's what I like seeing as well. I think I made comment on it last week, John, during our game, that I don't like when players go to work on the inside. They expect a contact, but then they don't put any effort into actually making the bucket. They just try to draw the 2 free throws. So to see, I think it's Hewitt, Patrick, and now Carline as well, all going for the and one. So they're actually taking that contact, but still focusing on actually making the shot. It's Carline's free throw. Can't quite find a way in. It's 15-13. Gold Coast still up by 2 points. It's McMullen just driving around the top of the three-point line. Illegal screen picked and called. That one going against number 12, Bayless for Districts. That'll be her second.
A bit of foul trouble for Spartans. They have they've been in the penalty for a while, but you got Haynes has 2 personals, Kiervon has 2 personals, and I believe that was Bayless's first. So, bit of trouble, foul trouble for Spartans.
Yeah, nice three-point shot there from Woods. 18-13, Gold Coast up. Great steal as well from Carline, just finding the ball. Right back at you, though. McDowell White also with the steal, just steps out of court. Very unfortunate. That was a great look. Just under a minute to go in the first quarter here. Gold Coast with the slight upper hand is inside-outside passage of play. 3-bomb for Beatty.
That's what Hannah Beatty does. She's a 3-point shooter. I'm shocked that Spartans left her that open.
But I love that passage of play, though. Ball goes into the post. Post player can't find, they've got their back to the basket, can't find a way to spin around. Kick out to the open 3-point shooter. I love that every single time. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Spartans needing to get to work here. Inside drive, no good. Gold Coast, 20 seconds to go in the game. It's Patrick, powers down the court. And again, a 3-point shot from Gold Coast, also finding the back of the net for Woods. 24-13, Gold Coast finding themselves on a massive run to end the quarter. Trying to close the gap, McDowell White fires one away, but that no good. And that is the quarter time break. Gold Coast Rollers finding themselves with a nice and healthy 11-point lead, 24-13. Dan, how are your thoughts after the first quarter?
Well, the last 2 minutes in particular was incredibly impressive from a Gold Coast point of view, and just you can see the energy they've had for the whole quarter, but as their confidence builds, they make a shot, a bit more confident, make another shot, and now they're rolling. So, excuse the pun, but the Brisbane Spartans have their hands full.
Yeah, definitely so. John?
I'm not surprised by how the Rollers are playing. We knew they would come out with great energy. They're taking it to the Spartans now. They haven't taken a backward step yet. Spartans just haven't had an answer yet. They're taking good shots, Dan, so they do have an opportunity to get back into this, but they need to step up defensively. They're giving up too many open layups and then leaving the shooters open beyond the arc as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that is the quarter time break, so we're going to take a quick rest as well. We'll be back with you shortly for more live QBL Round 2 action presented by Live Sport Australia and Nothing But Net Media. And welcome back to Roland Cowan Stadium as we continue to bring you the QBL Round 2 action between the Southern Districts Spartans and the Gold Coast Rollers. It's 24-13, Gold Coast in the lead by 11. John, how are your feelings after the first quarter? We were talking a little bit about it before. Do you think Gold Coast have the legs to hold it out for the rest of the game, or do you think Spartans are going to come back firing?
I definitely think that Gold Coast has an opportunity to keep it going, but Spartans are too talented to let this really push out any further than what it is already.
Yeah, well, Spartans straight off the inbound pass, getting themselves the 2 points, showing what they've got. There's Parham, nice hands to get the steal as well. Fast break opportunity down the court, can't quite fire away. Great hands from Patrick. The Parham putback just no good again. She's really struggling with those O-board in the putback.
They really needed that one too. That would have been a nice little boost for their start of the second quarter.
Yeah, 4-point turnaround in the first 30 seconds of the game would have been a nice little confidence booster, that's for sure. As Patrick, her pass is pickpocketed as well. Great hands there from the Districts. I think that was Bayless that got the steal. As Beck Haynes goes to work baseline, but she'll just pick up a little foul on the inside from Woods. Dan, if you're coaching staff from the Spartans, what would you have talked about at quarter time to try and bring yourselves back into this game a little bit?
I don't know. I think it's important to remember that this is a long game, and we've played 10 of 40 minutes. So the Gold Coast have made a run. The Spartans will make runs too. That's how basketball works. It's a game of runs. So just, whatever they work on during the week, stay true to that. Whatever the rules were pre-game, stay true to those, and just trust that the system will allow them to get back into the match.
Yeah, look, I think that'll come with time as well. I mean, the Spartans, they're taking more shots. Looking at the stats on the board, Spartans have taken 25 field goals. Gold Coast has only taken 16. So, I mean, Spartans are firing the shots. They just can't seem to quite find the bottom of the net at the moment. But, I mean, that's going to come as well. They might have just taken the first quarter to warm up, but definitely they're going to utilize this quarter and they'll come back firing. Parham takes a long corner three. No good as Patrick comes down with the defensive board. Gold Coast fast break opportunity turned around as Beck Haynes with fast hands picking up the steal.
Yeah, that's the third consecutive turnover for Gold Coast to start the quarter.
As Haynes, after picking up that great steal as well, going to town down the other end with the and one play. With Woods again picking up another foul. That's her second in about a minute.
That foul was deemed to be after the shot, I believe.
Just checking in with the referees as well. So the foul was after the shot, so it's not an and one play. They'll get the 2 points and another opportunity.
Her second personal, third team foul for the Rollers.
So 14 back on the clock. Spartans with another chance to close this gap as Beck Haynes, nice work. No, not Haynes, sorry. That was Bayless on the inside, putting the ball away.
Spartans back within 5.
24-19. Spartans really on a good scoring run at the moment. Gold Coast just turning the ball over a little bit too much. They're not protecting the pill. Nice long shot taken there from Woods. No good. Beck Haynes and Ash Parham for the fast break opportunity. Just losing control a little bit, but fouled on the hook shot.
Better energy to start this second quarter, Dan. See the Spartans doing it on both ends. A lot more aggressive offensively as well, not settling for those jump shots.
And I think that stems from better defense as well. Like you saw the last couple of minutes of the first quarter, they were into a zone. The defense so far this quarter has been exceptional. That leads to opportunities like what we just saw, getting out on the break, getting to the foul line, getting girls like Arja going.
Parham first, no good. There's definitely a lot more energy coming out of the Spartans this quarter, that's for sure, Dan. They've just been playing an incredible, more so than anything, it's mostly been their defense this quarter so far. They've come out and played some really aggressive, uptight defense. They've got those 3 steals early on as well. So 24-20, Spartans closing the gap, only down by 4. Finger roll, no good for Woods from Gold Coast. Spartans again on another fast break opportunity. McDowell White kicks out to Parham. Parham going to work, but just not being able to find the board. Spartans doing really well on the O-boards as well. She's doing a great, the Spartans as a whole just doing really good job of pulling down the offensive boards for the second chance opportunities. As Parham fires and just can't quite get it to roll home.
Hey, taking a look at the statistics, Spartans have 12 offensive rebounds. They actually have more offensive rebounds than they do defensive rebounds. They've got, now it's updated, 13 offensive rebounds and 7 defensive boards. That's an interesting stat, Dan. You very rarely do you see more rebounds on the offensive end than defensive.
That's true. That is very rare. But I guess when you're 7 of 32, 3 minutes into the second quarter, there are going to be offensive rebound opportunities.
So Parham on the line for her second free throw. That one also bouncing out. She goes none from 2.
Another
but
offensive
again,
rebound, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Spartans really firing home from the offensive boards as Patrick with the nice steal. She goes up and big contact on the back of the head from Parham.
That's the third foul on Aja Parham as well.
The scoreboard showing 0. Actually, that's her first.
Sure, that.
I think the score bench just showed 1.
I thought it was her third. I guess it's not.
No,
Only the first.
I thought it was her first as well. I was going to say that.
Sorry.
She's one player that they do not want in foul trouble as well, because a lot of those offensive boards that we've been talking about, I mean, she's got 4 of them. So Parham is definitely a key player that you do not want off the court if you're a Spartans fan at the moment. So Carly Patrick's first free throw just bouncing out. Gold Coast yet to score this quarter as well. 3 minutes in. Spartans have had a really nice scoring run. Gold Coast just yet to find the back of the net. And there they go. Patrick's second good as she shoots 50%. Great press break there from the Spartans as well. Just beating Gold Coast's defense relatively easily, actually.
That was a quick inbounds. They didn't really give Gold Coast an opportunity to set up.
Parham fires from 3, but way too strong. Gold Coast now with a chance for the fast break. Just losing control. Parham, really good active hands with the steal as well. Kicks up to McDowell White. McDowell White to Haynes and back to Parham for the left-hand finger roll, which bounces out. But the putback is good. That is great passing from the Districts.
Yeah, Parham really seems to be struggling from the field to start this season. We saw a struggle to start last week as well against Pirates.
Yeah, Parham had a bit of a rough, I think it was about the first half that she really struggled against the Pirates. But in the second half of that game, she really did start to fire. She found her form and, she started to close some of the shots that she was missing. So, look, it's not necessarily bad position for her. She may just take a little bit of time to warm up, but she'll get there.
It's a blocking foul called there. Second team foul for Spartans.
Yeah, it's kind of gone the opposite way this quarter. Spartans only on 2 fouls. Gold Coast are the ones in the fouling trouble at the moment. They've already got 5, and we're not even 4 minutes into the second quarter.
Yeah, so any fouls there, Spartans will be shooting free throws.
Gold Coast, nice ball movement around the outside. Carline firing away, but couldn't quite find the bucket. Almost a steal there as well for Woods.
You can see some of these girls grabbing on their shorts, bent over at every whistle. This has been a fast-paced, physical game so far, fellas, and I think it's starting to take its toll on some of these athletes.
Yeah, Maida just picking up another foul. That's the 6th team foul for the Rollers, so we're going to walk down the other end of the court for 2 shots for Parham.
Parham struggling just across the board, really, with her shooting statistics. 2 of 14 from the field. She's only 4 of 8 from the free throw line. It's positive sign is that she's getting to the free throw line, but at the moment she's struggling to hit her shots from there.
You know what's great about the QBL though? Like, I just probably worked 60 hours this week. Probably rocking up today, having worked today, probably exhausted. It's hard to get your jump shot going, and all these girls and guys in our league work or study, so it's a big effort to come out and shoot efficiently and play really good quality basketball. But it's not through lack of effort. You can see the energy, at least in Arja's case specifically, but talking about her, is fantastic. But hopefully those shots start chopping and she can reward herself for all the energy she's putting out.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, Parham's probably one of the most active players offensively at the moment. I mean, every time she takes a shot or one of the other girls on the Spartans team takes a shot, she's in there fighting for those O boards. And as we were saying before, she's pulled down a total of 7 rebounds, 5 of those being offensive. So it's definitely not from a lack of trying or a lack of work. It's just the unfortunate fact that it can't quite find the back of the net. It'll come. So 24-25, Gold Coast only up by 1 until they banked home that three-pointer for Fagan.
That's a really confident shot there. And the three-point shot has really been a good weapon for the Rollers so far tonight.
Yeah, definitely so. And great to see some of the youngsters coming off the bench as well. I mean, that was a great look and great shot from Fagan for the Rollers. As Patrick takes a three-point of her own, also hitting nothing but net to rattle one home for 3. And Spartans going to the bench for a timeout, so we're going to take a quick break as well, but we'll be back with more QBL Round 2 action from Live Sport Australia and Nothing But Net Media. And we're back from Roland Cowan Stadium as we bring you the QBL Round 2 game of the week between the Gold Coast Rollers and the home team, the Brisbane Spartans. Dan, John, Gold Coast really trying to find some form from that three-point line. They rattled 2 away at the end of the first. They've just gone on a scoring run of 6 points there with 2 threes as well. If you're the Spartans, do you adjust your defensive play to block that 3, or are you more concerned about what's going on the inside?
I think there's a balance of guarding both. I just think you guard the three-point line straight up, you guard inside as well as you would normally without putting an emphasis on either. But if you had to pick one, you'd rather get beat by the 3 than giving up layups and foul shots, I would think.
Yeah, and I mean, Gold Coast has only scored 4 three-pointers as well, so it's not like the majority of their points have come from that. But when you're swishing away 4 from 7, they got a really high percentage from the three-point line as well. Look, it's definitely not something you need to worry about too much, but Spartans definitely the talk of this quarter as well, playing a strong offensive game, just not able to get the ball to go on the hoop, but they're definitely playing a much more aggressive offense than they did last quarter.
That's a great look. Just a nice take along the baseline and a good dish inside.
Almost a trouble there from the Spartans as well, just managing to recover at the last moment. McDowell White goes strong on the right-hand side, drawing the foul from, I believe, Fagan. And again, in foul trouble, so McDowell White's going to find herself with a nice, easy 2 free throws.
Gold Coast in the penalty. They've been in the penalty since about 3 minutes into the quarter, so still want to play aggressive defense, but you just got to be a little more cautious of it.
Can we get the camera? You'll see some action on the Spartans bench. The long-term manager, Margaret Groves, just dropped a box of candy. We have a game of Candy Crush happening on the bench. Oh, that was... What a waste of good, high-quality lollies.
Oh, there's bananas too. That's just disappointing. I hate seeing a wasted banana.
Complete and utter chaos on the Spartans bench.
As McDowell White rattles out her second free throw. 25-31. Gold Coast still in the lead by 6. Gold Coast continues to take their offense nice and slow. Beck Haynes with very quick hands for the steal as she goes to work on the fast break. Rolls it home for the and one play as Carline just fouls from behind. What a passage of play from Beck Haynes.
Well, that's a play where you either foul hard and early and give up 2 shots, or you give up a layup. You don't want to give up both.
That pass was telegraphed, though, too. Beck Haynes saw that coming from a mile away.
But again, fought through it well and rattles away the and one for a 3-point play. Lead down by 3. V-Dog goes to the bench to request his timeout. I think he's realized that the girls are starting to run out of a little bit of energy. And Spartans are finding some really great offensive form at the moment with another steal as Kervin also goes to work on the fast break, and she too picks up a foul from Patrick. Spartans are killing this quarter at the moment. They're defensively and offensively a very different team to what we saw in the first end.
Yeah, it's a 15-7 quarter for the Spartans. Turnovers that are really killing Gold Coast. I'm sure that Coach V-Dog will be talking about taking care of the pill a little bit better, Dan. Turnovers are really hurting Gold Coast in the second quarter.
Yeah, I agree. And they did so well in the first, 15 minutes of the match looking after the ball. But like we said earlier, though, this is going to happen. The Spartans were always going to make a run. They were always going to play a little bit better than they were. So can the Gold Coast, I guess, withstand their run and go back on one of their own?
Yeah, well, that was the 11th turnover for the Gold Coast Rollers. District only got 5 in that category. So definitely something that V-Dog's going to go to the bench and talk about now as well, is just protecting that pill and slowing down the offense. And I think from the Rollers' perspective, they just need to start cutting a little bit more and being a little bit more active on the offense. I understand wanting to take things slow when making the outside pass and looking for the open cut on the inside. But at the same time, they've got to protect that ball.
Yeah, if you don't take care of it, you're just inviting the other team to make a comeback. I think Gold Coast is doing a good job, fairly good job defensively. They got to do a better job on the glass, though. I think they've done a really poor job in this first half of boxing out. The Spartans are dominating the offensive glass, and it's because there's not a body on them. We see them grabbing offensive rebounds with no one boxing out from the Gold Coast. So those are 2 key areas I think that Gold Coast needs to tidy up if they want to win today.
Yeah, well, the rebound count's really interesting at the moment because from the Spartans, they've got 16 offensive rebounds and 9 defensive. You jump down to the Rollers, and they've got 17 defensive and 6 offensive. So that just goes to show you how many shots the Spartans are taking. But they're only Gold Coast is only getting 50% of the rebounds down that end of the court. And it shouldn't be anything like that. They should be fighting a lot harder, boxing out, getting in the way, and pulling down those defensive rebounds.
Rebounding, Dan, and I know you would have heard this throughout your career, it's not necessarily about getting the actual rebound. It's the work you put into it before to get yourself in position to get the rebound.
No doubt about it. I think preparation is the key, and it doesn't take skill. Rebounding is a skill, but you can be a very good rebounder without having any natural ability. That's for sure. Just good technique and a lot of heart is all it takes.
Yeah, as we see Fagan from the Rollers score another swish three-pointer. She's having an absolutely blinding game, shooting really, really well from the outside. The shot clock rolls down to single digits for Districts. Nice inside-outside play. Farham's 3 just a little bit too strong, bouncing out. But again, Spartans fighting for those O-boards.
That first offensive rebound was a perfect example. There was no one boxing out for Gold Coast.
Nice inside look there from Parham. Beck Haynes putting it away with the reverse layup. Spartans really starting to fight with some tenacity on the offensive end of the court. So 31-34, Gold Coast in the lead by 3, needing to go to work on the offensive end. It's been a while since we've saw them put some points on the board as they go long for firing from 3, but not able to find the net. Haynes now, fast break opportunity. She goes left and is blocked by Beattie.
A good defense there. Haynes got herself in an awkward position under the hoop.
Gold Coast again taking nice and slow. Cut to the baseline is no good for Mater. Spartans again now kicking it out for the wide 2.
Both teams now struggling to get the ball in the basket at the moment.
I was just thinking that, John. This is a great example of, in my opinion, both teams needing to just, what a great trick play off the board. But it's an example of both teams needing just to slow down and run some sets. There's always a time to go up and down and play high tempo like they both have been, but just slow down, let's get through some sets, run a 15, 16 second possession and get a good look for the right person. I think that's what both teams need, just to steady themselves at the moment.
Yeah, you can see both teams with a couple of players, hands on hips, a little bit exhausted. So getting the ball up the court and then setting out a shell play or an inside play, they just need to sort of have a little bit more control over their offense and look for some more open opportunities than what they're getting at the moment. As Haynes' turnaround jumper rattles around before falling through. 34-31, closing the lead down to 1.
Haynes is one of my favorite players to watch. I just think she just does it all and does it all well.
Yeah, definitely so. As we come down with the offensive foul, Gold Coast really finding a hard time on the foul count at the moment. That one going against Alicia Carline with the hooking as she drove baseline, so that'll be her second as well.
That was an interesting call.
Interesting is one word you could use to describe it.
V-Dog looks directly at me asking the question as well, I think.
He wants a replay.
Yeah, I don't think we have the instant replay feature this time around, but V-Dog definitely looking for some answers, that's for sure. But nonetheless, it is 33-34. The Rollers holding out with a 1-point lead. Just under a minute and a half to go in this second quarter here. The Spartans with it now, kicking the ball around. Nice offensive passage of play. Unfortunately, just can't keep a hold on it, bouncing off the foot for the turnover. Rollers settling down with it. Shot clock rolls into single digits. Fagan, nice little left-hand drive. A little bit too much power on it. But the Rollers coming down with the O-board as Patrick fires away for three, but a little bit too late with a 24-second shot clock violation.
I thought that left-hander, I thought it hit the rim. It mustn't have hit the rim to reset.
I think it bounced. It hit the very high up on the backboard, and I think it missed the ring altogether. So there is no 24-second shot clock reset on that one. But we have got a timeout on the floor, so we're going to take a quick break as well. But we'll be back with you shortly for more live QBL Round 2 action presented by Live Sport Australia and Nothing But Net Media. And we're back at Roland Cowan Stadium for your QBL Game of the Week in Round 2 action between the Southern Districts Spartans and the Gold Coast Rollers. It is 34-33. Rollers holding out by 1 point. Spartans with a big 10-point turnaround compared to the first quarter. Dan, if you're the Spartans, you're 1 point down and you've got the ball, what kind of play are you drawing up here?
I've got no idea, to be totally honest. Like, these guys would have obviously had sets during the week that they worked on all pre-season. They put sets in place, so they'll come out and execute whatever they feel comfortable with. But I'm not sure that was it. I'd like to see it get through hands a bit more, get a couple of ball reversals, you know, set a couple of good picks. As Shona O'Brien plays great defense to get the ball back, but I guess Regan, to be a bit more specific with my answer, I reckon they need to try and move the defense side to side, a couple of ball reversals, and then get into something, maybe an on-ball for Arja on the wing. Jess McDowell wide out of an on-ball, something like that creates a bit of opportunity.
Yeah, definitely so. Well, there's under 30 seconds to go. Shot clock about 15 seconds out from the game clock. So Spartans will settle for probably the second last shot of the quarter as Parham drives strong through traffic, can't quite find it home. And a great look there defensively to get the steal for the Rollers as they now penetrate fast down the court.
Great move.
Going with the nice step is Hewitt. What a way to finish the quarter for them. Parham, though, not to be outdone herself as she fires away, but can't quite find a last-minute basket to end the quarter. So ending on 36-33. Hewitt for the Rollers is having a really strong game. That was a great little offensive play down the far end.
I was surprised to see her take it, Dan, to be honest with you. I thought she would slow down and try and get the final shot for the half, but it was a great Euro step and a nice finish by Hewitt. And then good defense by the Rollers. This is a nice way to finish the quarter after really struggling for a majority of it for the Rollers.
I think Arj is very frustrated, but I'm not sure if she's frustrated at her own shot or at the referee. She probably feels there's a couple of missed calls somewhere in there, but you're right. I thought they might have waited for that last possession as well, but when you have a chance for a layup, I guess you take it, and if you give up 3 or 4 seconds on the clock, then so be it, and it worked out well for them.
Yeah, definitely so. I mean, you don't want to give up an open opportunity like that for Hewitt when she managed to get the ball away. Look, if Spartans scored down the other end with 5 seconds to go, she still made the right move anyway. But Parham definitely having a very, very tough time. And look, don't get me wrong, I think she's having an absolutely fantastic game. She's firing the ball. But not only is she firing the ball, she's actually following her shot in, pulling the offensive board as well. She's just really unlucky in the fact that she can't can't put the shot away at the moment, but she's having a really aggressive offensive game, and she's playing some great basketball.
Yeah, I think that we'll see, much like we did last week, the second half will be fixed for Parham. Halftime couldn't come soon enough for her, I think, with the struggles to find the shot. I like what the Spartans did, though. Definitely came out with better energy in that second quarter. Gold Coast weathered the storm, put on a little bit of a run there. They're back up by 3. It's going to be an interesting second half, to say the least, fellas.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as you said, it is halftime, 36-33. The Gold Coast Rollers holding out by 3 into the halftime break. But we'll be back with you after about a 10-minute break with more live QBL Round 2 action for your Game of the Week, presented by Live Sport Australia and Nothing But Net Media. And welcome back to Roland Cowan Stadium for your QBL Round 2 Game of the Week between the Southern Districts Spartans and the Gold Coast Rollers. We are sitting at 36-33. The Rollers are just out in front of the Spartans, but the Spartans definitely won that quarter. They came from an 11-point deficit to find themselves down by only 3. Kicking over to DG. Dan, how are we looking on the stat sheet? That was a much better second quarter for both teams, I think.
Yeah, it was, and it was good to watch the last few minutes especially. Girls were playing really well out there, but I mean, the stat sheet, I mean, sometimes it tells the story of the game. Other times it just, I guess, asks more questions than it delivers. For example, as you mentioned during the call, Regan, the Gold Coast Rollers have had 30 field goal attempts, Spartans 49. It's a significant difference. And it's not like the Gold Coast are getting to the foul line either. They're 4 of 10 from the free throw line, so it's not like there's a huge advantage there either. The Brisbane Spartans, 23 offensive rebounds, +3 overall on the rebound count. So you'd look at those two things and say, I don't know, we've got significantly more possession if you're the Spartans, or if you're the Gold Coast, you could say we've given up 23 boards and we're still ahead. So both teams should be feeling good about their chances if they can tidy up a couple of areas in the game.
Yeah, definitely so. And Spartans are definitely playing a much more aggressive offensive game than the Rollers, I believe, as well. They can't seem to find the bottom of that net. They're shooting at 22% from the field and 25% from the three-point line as well. So they're definitely taking the better shots. They're really fighting to get themselves inside, to take the right shots. They're just struggling to find that unfortunate final form to get the ball through the bottom of the net. But I think some of the most telling stats as well is the turnover count. Rollers have found themselves turning the ball over 14 times, whereas Spartans have done a relatively good job at controlling that, keeping it down to only 7. You know, and I'm a big one for turnovers as well, just because I know how much you can capitalize off a turnover and how much it benefits you. Because the Spartans have scored 10 points from those turnovers, which is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, I think that's what got them back into the game in that second quarter was their pressure defense on Gold Coast and forcing those turnovers. Gold Coast has to do a better job taking care of the pill if they want to win this game. They're up 3. They really played a pretty good overall first half. They need to replicate that again, take care of the pill a little bit more. I would like to see them potentially look to go to a bit of a zone and force the Spartans to beat them from outside, because Spartans haven't had the opportunity or haven't really shot the ball that well, as we mentioned already. It's going to be a good second half. I'm looking forward to seeing what adjustments the teams made at the break. Spartans, though, have to be happy. Only down 3. They really didn't play a good first half.
Yeah, I'm with you. And if I'm the Spartans, I'd be saying, like, girls, we're not going to shoot 22% for the whole game. So stay with it. The shots will start falling. And if you keep doing all the other things you've been doing, you should be fine. So I would expect the Spartans to win this. However, the Gold Coast have been playing great and they deserve a win as well. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think Spartans definitely have the biggest opportunity to get themselves back in this game as well, because we've commented quite a lot on how many offensive boards they've made, but they've only scored 5 second chance points so far. If they keep pumping those offensive rebounds, if they keep following their shots in, you know, getting in front of the Gold Coast players who just physically aren't boxing out, they've got a massive opportunity to get some second-hand points.
Yeah, Spartans are going to have to continue to crash the glass.
As they fire away early with McDowell White draining a 3 to get themselves to the 36 apiece draw.
My strategy is pretty good. Let them shoot from 3. Hey, Dan.
It's pretty much exactly what you said they should do.
And once again, though, same as last week, McDowell White was just firing from 3, and I don't think Gold Coast has really picked up on the fact that she's going to keep taking that shot, and she's going to keep making money.
She's been in the competition for a couple of years now. She's going to see big minutes this season, so she's going to be ready to shoot at all times. And she's got the green light.
As Gold Coast return down the other end with a wide 2. It's a very contested rebound, ending in a jump ball. Beck Haynes. Nope, she looks all right. She seemed like she was in a bit of trouble there for a second, but she's doing okay.
Gotta love the energy and the passion, getting down on the court and fighting for the loose ball. That's what you want to see.
Especially from one of your better players. It's one thing for a young rookie to get on the ground. When your best players get on the ground, there's no excuse for anyone else.
Maida goes tight on the inside, kicking out to Woods. Woods drives right, spins around, shot clock rattling down, and a great steal from McDowell White with a fast break opportunity. Great pass out to the right, just can't quite finish off. And a step out of court on the rebound there as well from Kiravan.
Kiravan couldn't finish it. It was a great look there from McDowell White. She'd be disappointed in missing that layup attempt.
Yeah, once again, though, like, it's great offensive opportunities for the Districts. They just can't quite finish it off and actually make the bucket, but they've got some really strong offensive looks. They've got great ball movement. Just really unfortunate the ball didn't go in the hoop. Nice standing jumper there for Maida, just a little bit too strong. As McMullen comes down with the board and it goes to a jump ball.
You got Spartans then coming in with a couple other imports, not until round 4. What are your thoughts on that? You know, bringing in 2 new players, they haven't been here, you start to get a bit of chemistry. How do you think that can affect the team?
I don't think that's an issue at all. When you have girls that'll miss a week or here and there with an injury or other commitments, so I don't think that's much of a concern. And if you've got 10 or 12 girls all on the same page, adding 1 or 2 quality players should be pretty seamless.
Yeah, as McDowell White with a great steal there and the straight-up layup for an extra 2. The Spartans take the lead for the first time since very early in the first quarter. And Gold Coast again with a turnover with the offensive foul from Woods. Beck Haynes, perfect positioning in front.
Good defense there from Haynes. She read that play beautifully, saw it coming, stepped in, clearly a charge.
Yeah, absolutely. There was nothing more that she could do in that situation. She got perfect position and took it straight on the chest. So Southern Districts really firing in this third quarter as well. They've got themselves in the lead by 2 and they've with another opportunity now to extend out a little bit further. Parham, nice little fake and drive to the left to roll it home for 2. As we said, Johnny, she's going to find some more form in this second half, same as she did last week with Pirates, and she's off to a great start.
Yeah, Parham starting to heat up, starting to look a bit worrisome for V-Dog here and his troops.
I think Gold Coast is definitely going to find some form, though, and they're not going to let Spartans take this away from them too easily, but if they can't control those turnovers, they are going to have a much, much harder time as McMullen just steps over for the 2, but has no issues hitting the bottom of the net.
At the same time, this could easily blow out here if the Gold Coast aren't careful. When you struggle to score and then the Spartans run it back, layup, quick 3 like we just saw. Here's another stop, hopefully for the Spartans if they can get a rebound. You can just see the Gold Coast energy on defense start to drop off a little bit, which is natural, but that's their challenge, to try and keep their defensive energy up while the Spartans are on a run.
They've got to get a shot off here. They got 3 on the shot clock. Make it 1.
They couldn't get it away in time, though, so it will be a 24-second violation. Spartans playing an amazing defensive game.
Yeah, Spartans have really taken a step up on their defensive intensity, certainly collapsing on any drives, really communicating well, I think, also.
Yeah, definitely so. Gold Coast are going to find themselves in a little bit of a troublesome situation here if they don't get a big stop. But McDowell White, she's going to step up for a nice, easy 3. Can't quite rattle it home. But again, as is the tune of the night, Spartans pulling down the big O-board as Beck Haynes takes a 3 of her own, and she fires it for 3. Spartans on a massive roll early on in this third quarter.
I'm surprised that Coach Van Dongen hasn't taken a timeout yet. It's a 13-0 run.
I think if they don't score here, he's got to take a timeout.
Yeah, I don't think he'll have a choice. If they don't manage to put some points on the board soon, this could blow out very quickly. We end on the defensive rebound, comes to a jump ball. I think it's going to end up in the hands of Gold Coast, so they'll have another opportunity. But Gold Coast just need to pull some offense back together again. They need to settle themselves down. I think Spartans has gone on this 13-0 run. Gold Coast, they're a little bit concerned. They're rattled. They're not slowing things down and playing the same way they played in that first half. They're a deer in the headlights basically at the moment.
Dan, are you seeing anything defensively different from the Spartans to help them spark this run to start the second half?
I just think it comes down to the simple fact that they're playing with a lot more energy. But at the same time, it looked like they were in a zone for a minute, but I think they're just in a really aggressive switching man.
As the shot clock rolls down again, and a long shot from Maida is no good on the buzzer.
And you can see, too, fellas, the Gold Coast are getting 1 shot. There's no word boards up for grabs at all. The Spartans are doing a great job controlling the glass.
Yes, Kervin with a nice little jump shot there with a good assist from Beck Haynes as well. Now a 15-0 run for the Spartans. They're up by 11.
Yeah, it's been a great start to the half. You can't say anything different. It's been polar opposites for both teams. Gold Coast thoroughly struggling here to start the half.
Great defensive play there from McMullen, getting her hands nice in tight to pull the jump ball, and they'll get the turnover as well.
And Coach Van Dongen didn't like that, didn't like that tie-up call. He's going to take a timeout. It's a good timeout. I thought he would go with it a bit earlier after that run, but he needs to do something in this timeout to re-spark his troops, because they're just absolutely flat to start the second half.
Yeah, definitely so, but we do have a timeout on the floor, so we'll take a quick break and we'll be back with you shortly with more live QBL Round 2 action presented by Live Sport Australia and Nothing But Net Media. And welcome back to Roland Cowan Stadium. We are 4.5 minutes into the third quarter of your QBL Game of the Week between the Gold Coast Rollers and the Brisbane Spartans. Coach Van Dongen taking a much-needed timeout there for the Rollers, as they haven't been able to answer a 15-point streak for the Spartans, really turning things around this third quarter. Spartans are absolutely on fire, Dan.
I thought it was 15. It's actually 14, so apologies for that, but it's just a great start to the half for the Spartans. Be interesting to see what type of energy Gold Coast comes out of that timeout with.
Yeah, definitely. So Gold Coast definitely going to have to step up their defensive awareness, as well as Parham takes a nice little jump shot from the top of the keyway.
Archer just looks much more comfortable this half as well, not forcing it. Ominous signs for the Rollers.
Yeah, Rollers needing to slow down their offense and just look for those open shots. You know, they've only been taking one shot per possession and not pulling down many offensive boards either, as we get another turnover as well. Oh, no. Referee's going to overrule that one. Scrap that. Gold Coast will end up with the ball. They'll have 8 seconds on the shot clock as well, so Gold Coast needing to go to work fast. Try and break this streak.
Ball on the court.
Yeah, Gold Coast getting a nice little break there as well, because that'll reset the shot clock to 14 seconds, so they'll have a little bit more time to fire.
That's interesting that it resets to 14.
Yeah, anything that's out of the team's control like that, it's an automatic reset to 14 seconds. So Gold Coast just getting a little bit of extra assistance there from the kids playing on the court behind us, as Patrick fires a three, a little bit too short, but nice O-board from Carline, and she fires the put back for 2.
They desperately needed that bucket. Hopefully that'll spark the Rollers, because they need something.
Yeah, well, hopefully that's the start of a streak for them to try and get themselves back into this game a little bit. But Southern Districts just playing a really comfortable offensive game as Beck Haynes goes to work on the inside. Kick out for the Parham 3, and this is a whole new Parham this half. She is hot.
It's eerily similar to last week, where she struggled in that first half tremendously and then came out on fire in the second half, and that's exactly what we're seeing this evening.
Yeah, Carline going to work again for the Rollers, but not able to find the bucket. With Parham with a massive block from behind. Or not a... Oh, no, Parham will get the block, but there is a foul on 21, so McMullen will pick up a foul. Really unfortunate, because that was a huge block opportunity for Parham to get some stats on the board.
It was good collapsing defense there. Carline powered up that layup attempt through 4 Spartans defenders.
Yeah, Carline's been having a really strong game as well, really trying to lead her team out on the floor. She's been playing really well offensively and just driving the penetration through the center of the court, fighting for the offensive boards. She just can't quite fire at the moment. She's having a little bit of struggle finding the points, but she's been having a really great game.
She's been a bit of a weapon. I'd like to see Gold Coast try and get her the ball a little bit more, actually, if they can.
Yeah, she goes none from 2 from the free throw line. Spartans coming down with the defensive board. It's 52-38. Spartans finding themselves in a nice little lead as Haynes fires from 3. A little bit too strong. And again, Carline fighting for that defensive board. Rollers, nice offensive movement around the outside. Fire from a corner 3, but that one's no good for Obermeyer. Districts again coming down with a defensive board as Parham shot fakes, one step shot, no good this time unfortunately for the Spartans.
And the Gold Coast girls, it's not through lack of effort, fellas, but just having such a hard time scoring. You can see them trying to run their sets, getting good shots. Here's a layup here, but
that was a great look inside.
Much needed, but just having a hard time getting points on the board this half.
Yeah, it's not like they're not taking shots. It's just, I think Spartans have really stepped up their defensive presence as well, and they're making it a lot harder for Gold Coast to find easy shots. So they're having to take a lot more time, as you see a massive block there for the Rollers. They're definitely taking good shot opportunities. It's just taking them longer to find the shot because the defensive pressure from the Spartans has really stepped up this quarter. You see again, the shot clock rolling down into single figures. Nice look on the inside there. Couldn't quite find the player for Beatty.
That's just a tough pass, though. That was a forced pass. You expect a bit better from Beatty on that play.
Yeah, and she turns it around and picks up a foul as well.
Dave Derwin in the house. Going to join us for the men's commentary after the women's game.
Yeah, what a men's game that's going to be coming up. Nice kick pass over to Parham as she steps around. Great look in the inside to Haynes. Can't find the points, but she'll pick up the foul and go to the line for 2.
That was just classic pick and roll right there. A great show on the defensive end, but they lost the slipping Haynes.
Yeah, it's just good players making good plays. And we spoke pre-game, fellas, about like the Gold Coast team maybe not being as experienced as the Spartans, but they can make up for that with energy, which they absolutely have done for 2.5 quarters. But you can just see the class of the Spartans players shining through, and they're obviously feeling a lot more composed and settled, and that's led to the quarter we've seen so far. Pretty handy 12-point lead at the moment.
Yeah, they're playing a much more comfortable game of basketball as well. I think, they just came out, they were playing some great basketball in that first half. They just weren't being rewarded with the points. But that 15-minute break at the halftime, it gave them time to compose themselves. And, they're still playing a very similar game of basketball. They're actually getting the reward in the end with the points. So really great, classy game from the Spartans. Shot clock rolls down to 2 seconds. Wide 2-point shot. Can't quite find it, Obermeyer.
That's about the third shot clock violation in the quarter.
I don't think the ball touched the rim either, so we got a foul call, but I think it should be a violation.
Yeah, I think that will come down to being a 24-second shot clock violation. There was no contact. That was a great decision by the referees as well to actually come together when they had a difference of opinion, but great end call. But as you were saying, Dan, I think that's the third time that the Rollers have let the shot clock expire, and I don't think it's, well, realistically, I think it's great credit to the Spartans players. They've really come out and stepped up that defensive pressure, as I was saying before, and the Rollers really finding it difficult to make a good shot and having to take those, those rushed off-balance shots right on the buzzer.
And there's some really interesting defensive mismatches for the Rollers. They're struggling to guard really anyone at the moment.
Yeah.
But you leave Obermeyer on Haynes, and Haynes is going to eat her for breakfast pretty much every time when she gets the ball. And really no one has had an opportunity to slow down Parham.
No, definitely not so far. Haynes and Parham having an absolutely amazing quarter together, just setting each other up for the different shots, playing a really great team game out on the floor, and the Rollers having just adjusted to those mismatches to try and prevent those two from working together as much as they have been.
19-4 quarter here for Spartans.
As Carline goes to work on the inside, nice little step back roll, can't quite get the reward, and good defensive board from Spartans.
Defensive rebound to the Massive Brood.
So 53-40, Spartans in the lead by 13 as Parham goes to work on the inside. Thought she got fouled, but couldn't quite put it away. Referee saying slightly differently. Rollers now with an opportunity.
I mean, there was contact, Regan, I think, but that's contact that they've been letting go all game, but
yeah,
she should get an easy make here.
Yeah. Great look there from Parham, getting the steal and converting it through. And I think you're right, like that is the kind of contact that's been let go the entire game. And I definitely don't think it was a foul. Parham just seemed to have a little bit of look at the referees and question it. But it was good defensive game from the Rollers. Oh, great hands there from Beck Haynes. And again from Raria as well.
That's just tough defense there.
Oh.
Esther Raria driving through the defense and coming down with the travel.
Hey, couldn't make up her mind what she wanted to do there. I don't think she wanted to take that many steps, though.
No, it was good defense from the Rollers as well. I think there was a couple of plays with their hands on the ball, and it just made it really hard for Esther to decide where she was going to pass the ball, and just ended up not making a decision and traveling.
Although should be able to hold for the final shot of the quarter here.
Yeah, we're down to 13 seconds on the clock. Great hands there from O'Brien. We'll have 12.4 to go. Rollers with the ball out of bounds. Shot clock expired. The Rollers will be able to hold for the last shot, and hopefully they can get something away to bring themselves back into this game a little bit. As we take a long shot there for Hewitt. Couldn't quite find it. They got the O-board though as we again step out. Long two-point shot bounces out, no good for Morris. As we end the three-quarter time, the 55-40, the Southern Districts Spartans absolutely firing in that quarter to turn it around to a 15-point lead.
I mean, they call it the championship quarter, and if that's the case, then Spartans definitely dominated that one. They won that quarter. It's a 22-4 third quarter, so huge swing of momentum in that championship quarter for the Spartans.
Yeah, and it's a shame in some ways because these Gold Coast girls are going to feel pretty deflated after that, and they did such a great job for the first 20 minutes playing good quality basketball, but the quality of the Spartans from the coaching staff obviously at halftime put in some changes which led to these girls coming out and having an amazing third quarter, and their class and their experience and the quality of side they've got has shone through. But and it's been contributors from top to bottom. Japan and Beck Haynes, these girls you'd expect to step up have, but it's the other girls as well. They've had a really even, balanced attack, which has been great.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that does wrap things up for the third quarter, so we're going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back with more QBL Round 2 action right after this short break, presented by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. And welcome back to Roland Cowan Stadium as we kick off the fourth quarter between the Gold Coast Rollers and the Southern District Spartans. It is 55-40. Spartans really firing that third quarter. The Rollers definitely going to have to come out and play a very aggressive fourth to get themselves back in. Nice fire there from wide. Dan, what do you think Coach Van Dongen would have spoken about at that third quarter break? What do you think they need to change in order to get themselves back into this fourth?
Well, I don't think any one of his players would have heard a thing he said with this music. I feel like I'm at a carnival in Rio with the music they've got pumping in this stadium. But look, I think the Gold Coast coaching staff hopefully are just reinforcing that, girls, like, we're a young team and we believe in you. You've done a great job, so don't get too down on yourself. This is a good team we're playing. But just stay true to yourself, run our offense that we practiced all week, just keep your energy up, play hard, and good things will happen.
Yeah, and they had such a strong first half as well, the Rollers. They played a really, really great offensive game of ball. And like you sort of said, they are a young team, but they kept Southern Districts to a very, very small first half. So they've got a lot of things to be proud about, and they just need to bring that into this fourth quarter, have the confidence in themselves to keep making those same kind of plays.
It's just it's a tale of two halves, to be honest with you, though. Spartans, 2 weeks in a row, Dan, really start poorly in the first half and then completely step it up in the second half. Probably not necessarily some habit that you want to develop with the poor starts, but really impressive on how they're able to turn it around at halftime, or after halftime, I should say.
Well, it's definitely big credit to be said, because to have that kind of turnaround in a second half of basketball, to come from 11 points down and in one quarter have a 16-point switch is a real credit to the way that, you know, this Southern Districts team can compose themselves, and a credit to the coaching staff as well to elicit that change in them. Gold Coast firing from all around the stadium to try and get some last-minute points on the board, and they'll pick up a foul as well. That one going against number 4, Christine Obermeyer, so she picks up another. That'll only be her second, I believe.
They do need a spark here, though, Gold Coast. It's got to come from somewhere. I'd like to see Gold Coast maybe come out with a bit of trap or a little more pressure to try and force a couple turnovers, get a couple easy buckets, maybe get that confidence back up. Because at the moment, you can see then, even in the body language, they're just not playing confidently.
No, that's right.
This Parham, nice little drive to the left-hand side and fires. Can't find the rim, though. Nice fast break opportunity from Gold Coast there. They got the rebound, and then they pushed the ball up straight away. There's a strong look on the inside for Carly. Can't quite get it there as Parham pulls the big block. Haynes, that's just all class. What a baseline drive and step into the court.
I think V-Dog's head might explode very soon. He looks like he's on the verge of a technical foul. He's frustrated with the way his team's performing at the moment, but you saw it from him before also, a little frustrated with how the referees are calling the game at the moment.
I think the officials have been really consistent. So I know they wanted a foul on that last Arja block, but she went straight up. So there was contact, but I agree with the no call. I agree with it.
I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if we see a technical foul on Coach Van Dongen shortly.
Oh, he's an angry man.
Beck Haynes with a nice little reverse layup there on the inside, drawing the foul. That one going against number 6, which will be Morris. Yeah, I definitely do feel for Coach Van Dongen at the moment as well. He is a little bit frustrated. He is struggling a little bit. But I think you're exactly right. Like, the referees have been calling a very consistent game of basketball. In the first quarter, we saw Southern Districts coming out with, I think, around about 7 fouls. In the second, it went against the Rollers. So it's been consistent across the board. But being down by 23 points and seeing a couple of bumps that weren't called in the first quarter, when you're down by 23 now, you definitely do get a little bit more frustrated with those kinds of situations. So I definitely do feel for Coach Van Dongen, but I do think the referees are doing a good job as well.
I agree. I think the referees have done well. One thing that should point out, it's a bit of a challenge to referee a game with only 2 referees as well. So that's always I think, a bit of a challenge for the referees when you're working with only one other partner. Having that third referee makes a huge difference.
Yeah, definitely so, and especially with the level of competition at the moment as well in the QBL. I mean, going back, let's say 6 years ago when I was still officiating in the QBL, in the women's competition in particular, didn't necessarily need 3 referees. You could handle it with 2, but women's basketball has come such a long way. The teams are a lot more aggressive. They're a lot better and a lot stronger than what they were a couple of years ago. So, I mean, the Siebel is a 3-man refereeing team on the women. So, look, it's getting to the point where the QBL probably should be 2, but we don't have the numbers in Queensland, unfortunately. So if any young listeners out there want to get yourselves into refereeing, by all means do it, and we'll be able to get that 3rd man on these women's games.
Shout out Tony Caldwell.
Got to give a shout out to my boy Isaiah Derwin also. He's a referee in Queensland at the moment. So we might see another Derwin in the QBL just on the referee side of things.
I can't shout out too much, otherwise they're going to come knocking on my door and try and pull me out of retirement again. It's happened a couple of times in the past.
Now we need you here, Egan.
Oh yeah, we
won't release you.
I'm on contract, can't happen. So 64-42 the score at the moment. Spartans with a nice and healthy 22-point lead.
Bit of zone now from the Gold Coast.
Yeah, Gold Coast just stepping back, trying to save a little bit of energy. And look, I think it's a good decision from the Rollers as well. They've been playing man-to-man for most of this game. So it's not necessarily a bad thing to try and mix things up a little bit, play a little bit of a different defensive game to see if it has any impact.
Again, I'll go back to what I said earlier. I'd like to see them pressuring the ball up the court a little bit, doing a bit of trapping, really try and force some turnovers. You know, the zone is nice in the half court, but I'd like to see them just be a little more aggressive. Even if they foul, they're down big, they need to do something to try and come back.
Nice, strong offensive play there, driving down the middle from Maida and picking up the foul as well on the way through.
Fouls on number 2, Vic Haynes.
And that'll go on Haynes. That'll be her 4th personal foul, I believe, as well. So Haynes finding herself in a little bit of foul trouble. 5.5 minutes to go, though. I don't think it's too much of a concern for her. She'll probably keep playing through.
I'd say so. Both teams now with 2 team fouls in the quarter.
Maida makes the first. And the second as well. We're back to a 20-point lead for the Spartans. That was a nice, good press up at the halfway, though. So as you were saying, Dan, yeah, not doing a full court press like you were sort of hoping for, but stepping up and putting the pressure on the halfway definitely made it harder for McDowell White to get the pass over as well. So they're pressuring up a little bit.
Yeah, they didn't do a very good job, though, recovering out of that press and trap, leaving McDowell White wide open for 3.
Yeah, it took him a little bit too long to adjust once McDowell White did make that pass out, and she just stepped around for that wide open jumper. Patrick, nice, a strong move on the inside, just a little bit too much power on it.
That was a good aggressive take, though, there by Patrick. You'd like to see that. You just wish you would have finished a bit better.
Yeah, and Patrick's been having a really good, strong, aggressive game as well. Her and Caroline in particular both been playing very strong offense and driving down the center of the court, looking to create those gaps and really putting pressure on the Spartans players as well because they're driving hard at them and you know, it's making them force their defensive shift so they don't pick up the fouls.
Subs for the Spartans. Vic Haynes is going to take a break. If you don't make it into the game, just McDowell White will sit down and Arjun Power on return.
Go to the bench, Dan. Is this game over? Do you empty the bench?
Well, the game is over, but I'm not emptying the bench yet. I mean, some of the Spartans girls, whilst they're up now and looking good, they did take a while to get into rhythm. So I'd maybe give them a few more minutes and just let themselves play into rhythm because you can practice all week, but there's nothing like game night.
Patrick, nice look for the 3-point shot. Just can't find the bottom of the net as Carline picks up a foul on the defensive rebound. And that'll be her 4th as well. So Carline finding herself in a little bit of foul trouble as well as we go to the benches for a timeout. So we'll take a quick break as well, but we'll be back with you shortly for more QBL Round 2 action presented by Live Sport Australia and Nothing But Net Media. And welcome back to Roland Cowan Stadiums. We bring you the dying 4 minutes of the QBL Round 2 game of the week between the Gold Coast Rollers and the Southern Districts Spartans. Before we get the ball passed in, we'll just quickly take a quick look around the rest of the state. The Sunshine Coast Rip are taking on the North Gold Coast Seahawks 55-65. And the Southwest Metro Pirates currently lead. I can't even see the score at the moment. It's just died on me. So never mind. I'll come back to you with those scores in just a minute. With 4 minutes to go, nice up-court pressure there from the Rollers as well, almost forcing the Spartans into an 8-second in the backcourt. Carline with a nice steal there, getting herself into position. And great inside look there from Gold Coast.
Yeah, good patience.
Just not quite getting herself in front, Patrick, unfortunately picking up the last-minute foul. It puts them on 14 fouls as well, so everything from here will end up at the free throw line. Not a position they want to find themselves in at the moment. As Rarick passes around to Parham, and she just steps up, turns around and fires. No good as Carline comes down with the defensive rebound. She's been really on at the moment in terms of boards.
Yeah, good couple minutes here now for Gold Coast, getting a couple of stops and a few easy buckets, Dan.
Absolutely, and the game might be over. 20 points is a lot to bring back in 3 minutes, but they're finishing off really strongly, which they deserve to, because they have played a really good game. And it's great to see, despite being down, and maybe the game is out of reach, but their effort is still at the top level that it was to start the match, which is great signs.
That's a 15 foul, so going to the free throw line for the Spartans.
Yeah, 69-48 the lead at the moment for the Spartans. And now that my computer's decided to refresh itself, I'll give it another crack at the out-of-town scoreboard. The Cairns Dolphins taking on the Mackay Meteorettes. Cairns currently in the lead, 86-73 up in Toowoomba. They are taking on Southwest. Southwest with a 106-49 lead. And, of course, we got our game here, 70-48 as the Southern Districts extend their lead out to 22. So 3 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Gold Coast trying to get some final points on the board, but finding it very, very hard to break the defensive pressure that the Spartans have put on in this last half. They've really been playing well and uptight. Carline, great little step back jumper.
Yeah, she's probably been Gold Coast's most consistent player tonight.
Yeah, she's played really well.
Again, another little unfortunate foul there for the Gold Coast, sending the Spartans back to the free throw line. As jumping to the bench, Spartans going to make a couple of subs as Aja Parham subs off, probably for the last time in this game here. It's both teams going to their benches with the Gold Coast Rollers subbing on Sarah Glazebrook.
And Parham's going to check out with nearly a triple-double, 19 points, 14 rebounds, 8 assists. Also had 6 steals in the game. So, yeah, you look at the statistics, she did a little bit of everything. One thing that she definitely will want to look at, though, is those shooting statistics. She did that on 6 of 26 shooting.
Yeah, and most of that coming from the first half as well. Like this second half, she's played a really strong game of basketball. If you take out the first half, she's been firing really well. She's had a very high percentage shot, but that first half of the game really let her down percentage-wise.
Yeah, for sure. She really stepped up in the second half.
Yeah, great up defensive pressure there from the youngster Natasha Elliott, subbing in for the first time for the Spartans. And again, Spartans putting on some really good defensive pressure, ending in the turnover for Gold Coast, and they'll pick the ball up from the jump ball.
I think we said it earlier, the defensive intensity for me is the difference in the game for the Spartans. They really picked it up in that second half to start the second half and just carried it through right to the end. And Gold Coast just couldn't handle the defensive pressure that Spartans put them under.
No, I think that's exactly it. They just couldn't adjust to the, like you said, that defensive pressure change. I don't think it's necessarily the Gold Coast has played a bad second half of basketball, but Spartans just changed everything about their game at that halftime break. They were playing a much tighter defensive pressure up tight. They were making their shots and actually getting the reward with the points at the end as well. But Gold Coast, they've played a consistent game. It's just they haven't had much luck in this second half. That defensive pressure from the Spartans is just unmatched. They've played really, really tight up, and they just haven't been able to break it.
And you see on the Gold Coast bench, you got Sophie Johnston. They had plans to play her a lot this season. Unfortunately, it doesn't sound as though she will suit up for the Rollers, but it's a good thing because she's accepted a scholarship to attend the University of Nebraska on a full Division I basketball scholarship. So congrats to Sophie. We'll miss seeing her in the QBL, but look forward to seeing what she could do in the Division I ranks.
Yeah, and that's a great opportunity for her as well. So it is a little bit tough for Coach Van Dongen losing such an outstanding player, but an amazing opportunity for her career. And she's going to have an outstanding future stemming from that contract as well.
She sure will.
So the clock rolls down to the last minute of this fourth quarter. Gold Coast looking to put some more points on the board, coming off a really strong 3 in the last passage of play from Beatty. And just picking up a last-minute foul there as well for Districts. That'll go against Shana O'Brien.
When you look at the entirety of the game, Dan, what are some of the positives that you can take out of this game if you're the Gold Coast Rollers?
It's not a long list, but I think there's a few good signs definitely they can build on. One is, if you look just at the thing from a holistic level, their culture seems really strong. They all work really hard regardless of the score, which is a great sign because some teams don't do that. So the fact that they all seem to get along and work really hard is a fantastic positive. Plus they played 2.5 quarters of very high quality basketball. So as these girls get more experience, as the year moves on, hopefully that can become, it's a bit loud in here, but hopefully that can become 3 quarters, 3.5 quarters, and then 4 quarters of good quality basketball. And they can reward that effort with some results on the scoreboard.
And how about for the Spartans? They've really bounced back pretty well after struggling in that first half. What do you think some of the key takeaways for them are in this performance?
Well, it's unfair to call the Spartans the defending champs because they are a very different team than the team we saw last year. So this is a group of girls that are going to take a while to come back together as well. So obviously they had a loss last week. They had a half of basketball this week, which wasn't the highest quality sport they played. But the second half was a fantastic display of basketball. Defensively, they look really good. Their main girls, Arja Beck-Haynes, got good quality looks. McDowell White played well, so they've shown all the signs as well that whilst they won't be as dominant as they were last year, they've got all the attributes of a really good team. So we'll see how they go as the year moves on as well.
Yeah, I definitely couldn't agree more, Dan. I think the Spartans have a long way to come as well. It is a very, very different team for that, that championship team that we got to see at the end of last year. But they've got the make-out of a really, really great team. And even from last week, we have seen them grow and develop quite a lot just in a short space of time. I think the one big thing that they need to work on is just coming out with the same ferocity and same tenacity they have in this second half. Because if they can play 4 quarters of basketball like they've played these last 2, they are absolutely going to be a force to be reckoned with, but they've just got to be able to consistently do that across 4 quarters. So we take the final shot for the game, or no, we're not even going to get a final shot away as the ball is swatted away. So we wrap up this QBL round 2 game at 79-54. So the Southern Districts Spartans, after coming down from an 11-point deficit in the first half, to a 79-54, 25-point lead. We've sort of covered off most of the final points down the last minute or 2, but before we roll into some final stats, any last words, Dan?
I think we've covered it, fellas. Good quality basketball for the most part. I'm looking forward to the men's.
Johnny?
I think we said it all as well. I think Spartans will be happy with that second half performance. They'll look back on that first half and certainly learn from there. They, like you said, I do think that they are going to contend for a final spot, particularly if they can add 2 quality imports to this lineup. I think they could be dangerous again.
Yeah, definitely so. And as I said, we'll quickly cover off some statistics before we roll out and set up for the men's game. Starting with the Gold Coast Rollers, your top scorers for the game, it's a 3-way tie between Carline, Woods and Patrick, all scoring 10 apiece. Hewitt not far behind, scoring 7 as well. On the rebound side of things, Carline ended up coming with a double-double, 10 points and a whopping 17 rebounds as well. I mean, that's absolutely huge. I mean, you barely see 17 rebounds in a men's game of basketball, so that is an incredible statistic for her. She's played a really fierce game, and I think she's easily the MVP for this team out here for the Gold Coast side as well. The big statistic on the downside for the Rollers is 27 turnovers. As I said in the pregame when we're talking things up, turnovers are my big pet peeve, and that really affects team. Last week we saw the teams come out with almost 30. It's the same here again as well. So that's one big thing that I think this Gold Coast team needs to work on, is just reducing that number of turnovers to below 20.
Oh, for sure. You're looking at next weekend, both teams will see some action. Southern Districts will take on Logan on the 12th of May. Gold Coast will take on Southwest Metro Pirates also on the 12th of May. And then they have to back up to play the Sunshine Coast Phoenix the next day. So big weekend of hoops ahead next weekend for both squads. Should be some exciting games next weekend as well, but we got another exciting one coming up. This men's game, I think, is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. So quickly to roll through the Southern District Spartans stat sheet as well. Amazing games from both Beck, Haynes and Parham in that second half, both scoring 19 points apiece. Jess McDowell-White not far behind. She ended on 17. And rebound-wise as well, Parham also ended up with a double-double, taking down 14 boards, almost to be outdone by Kiovan and Haynes on 7 as well. So but the other stat as well is they only had 12 turnovers. So when your turnover count is 12 to 27, that is a big, big difference between the two teams. But as you said, Johnny, both teams have a big game coming up next week. So we're going to get set up for this big men's game coming down now. But we'll be back with you shortly for more QBL Round 2 action. This is all being presented by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. I've been Regan Baker. Big thank you to John Guana and Dan George, my amazing co-hosts on this game. But we'll see you shortly for some more action.